Well, guys, we got another episode of the Ride Along here, and we've got Matt. We got a pretty cool conversation we're about to have because we've discussed today's topic previously, but I'm looking forward to kind of getting in depth with it with kind of the guy who was talking about it in the first place.
Likewise, yeah, for sure. This topic has been brought up a couple of times on the show, and yeah, I'm looking forward to hashing it out and talking about how we can either make it happen or make sense of it all. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
No, it's going to be good. And we'll go ahead and introduce him right here. Ben Gramico, it really doesn't take a whole lot to introduce you because Internachi is the conglomerate of home inspectors. And so if anybody's a home inspector and they don't know you, I would be shocked. But we're honored to have you on the show today, man.
Thanks. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. And so how's it going? First of all, North Carolina, I heard you had a recent move. Everything's going good?
Yep. I lived in Colorado for a long time, but I don't ski. So what's the point of being on a hillside when you can't ski in the wintertime? So raised a family there for about 15 years, but moved to where it's really nice, Raleigh, North Carolina. And it's right now it's about 82 degrees, sunny, and the birds are chirping. So I'm loving where I am.
Dude, Raleigh Durham area is awesome, man. That's been on the come up for a while too.
It's booming. There is so much going on, so much building, so many homes for sale. It's just there's a lot of people coming in. I think they all took off during COVID from California and other places, and they all wanted to come here.
Now, definitely. Now, I mean, is this giving you like a whole new batch of content to work with? Because you do most of the content filming, or at least a lot of the content filming for Nachi. So are you doing this with a lot of new construction stuff down there, or what are you doing with that?
Yeah. So right next door, my friend is building his home. And so we're filming everything from footer to roof and everything inside, step by step. And I thought that would be a really good opportunity for home inspectors to understand how a home is built. If you don't know how a home is built, I'm not sure if you can really compete well in the marketplace with other home inspectors with that background. So why
Yeah,
not show
definitely.
everybody the guts of a home?
No, it's good, and especially with new construction practices kind of changing big time in the last several years, and some big modern advances coming. I've got some questions that we want to get to in the rest of the interview here with you, but we want to start off first and foremost. Usually, Matt, we do our drink of the day
Correct.
in the evening because that's when we record this, but it's noon, so
Right. Right. Yeah. So it's a little bit different today. Actually, 11 here, so it's not even noon for me. And so, yeah, I'm going with coffee.
definitely. Yeah, right.
What?
I mean, it prevents that's a little moral quandary here, right? Like, it's like, do we just go ahead and just be complete derelicts? Do we go ahead and just day drink, or like, what do we do? But
You
I'm
do you,
responsible.
man. You do you.
I've got I've got meetings coming up still, so HR, if you're watching,
Yep.
it's just coffee. But Ben, if we were recording this in the evening, what would you be sipping on?
I love a bourbon Manhattan on a rock.
Nice.
Good call, man.
A rock,
Now,
like a nice, solid, big chunk of ice.
Solid, big, square. I make my own.
oh,
Yeah. And also, I don't do the wimpy bourbon. I go for the high proof. So
Nice.
I think Jack Daniels makes one of the highest proofs that I know of whiskey, and it's like 126 proof.
That's pretty
I
high.
want to be able to. I want fire. I want pepper. I don't want it. I don't want it smooth because then you just drink too much.
I think that's a
Right?
really solid move, especially on a mixed drink. Like, go for the higher proof. Like, I want the bourbon to come through in a mixed drink. I want to
Yep.
get that punch. And if you get something that's lighter proof, that's what most of mine, just because of affordability and the high proof, I use Wild Turkey 101 in cocktails a lot because it's just a little bit higher than your typical stuff. But yeah, I'm on board, man. I like it. Like your style.
this is actually giving me an interesting idea because the drink of the day, of course, is always sponsored by Inspection Fuel, which is going to be again happening September 8th through the 10th in New Orleans. But there's going to be a conference kind of coming up right after that. Ben, do you want to go ahead and plug that one too?
Is that the international conference you're talking
I
about?
think it might
I think
be.
it might be. Yeah.
There's so many going on. The hurricane down in Florida kind of bumped one conference convention. So we just had it recently, and now we're having another one. And we've got one coming up in Texas, and we've got another one coming up in Colorado. So just make sure you know where your next event is. Some of the events going around for these home inspectors are so fun. I mean, there's a lot of really great events, and there's nothing like, I mean, InterNACHI is the world of online. If you want to go online and meet people from all over the world, go to InterNACHI's forum or Facebook or something like that. But if you want to rub elbows with like-minded people, I mean, you got to do an event. An InterNACHI chapter is a really great local way, but these big conferences and conventions, not just InterNACHI's, but the ones you go to and the one you are attending, and it's just fantastic to meet other people there.
Well, we did the podcast, or we did some podcasting at InterNACHI in Orlando in February, Matt.
Yep.
But I'm thinking we need to have like a co-sponsored like drink of the day, kind of a happy hour between InterNACHI and the ride along at the next one.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't drink and work at the same time.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll take care of that on your behalf. Don't worry. But and I'm sure there's plenty of other inspectors that do the same. But anyway, no, Ben, we're excited to have you on because you said something recently that really got our ears buzzing, and we've talked about it on a previous episode, and so we figured let's just get you on the show to discuss this. The big question being, does the home inspection industry or the real estate industry in general support a $1,000 average ticket price? First of all, give us your views on this and why you think that's what it ought to be, and if you think it's even possible.
It is possible. I mean, I'm a sucker for Starbucks, right? And I just had a cup of coffee from Starbucks, and it was $6 for the coffee, and then you add a tip, right? It's just an example of like, why would anybody, let alone millions of people, buy a commodity like a cup of coffee for maybe, I don't know, 5 times more than it's actually worth, right? It's because it's so valuable to the consumer. So if I find it really incredibly valuable, that burger, that cup of coffee, that service, I'm going to pull out my hard-earned cash for it. Now, it's incredible how many home inspectors devalue their position on this planet. We are one of the most important, critical people that anybody can know, because we all live in a home, but is that home safe, functioning, and healthy? And there's only one person on the planet who can answer that question. That's incredible, valuable information. You should be charging for that type of value that you provide. Don't be the cheap piece of crap coffee that you can get, right?
Sure. I guess on that analogy, Starbucks.
And I was charging sorry to interrupt, but I was charging $1,000. When's the last time I did an inspection for a client, right? I do inspections all the time, but I don't have any clients. But when I was doing inspections back in the 90s, 1990, 2004, 2007 was my last inspection. I brought home $1,000 per inspection. I mean, that's with ancillary inspections.
That's one thing that I definitely want to talk about for sure. Yeah. I mean, I like the analogy, and for one second, I was taken by it. But I do want to point out, like, to me, like, there's like in that analogy a little bit of an elephant in the room. I mean, like when we're talking about a $6 cup of coffee, is that $6-7? Is that too much to pay for a cup of coffee? Is that a lot to pay? It is
wrong commodity. Commodity.
No,
let's go to the mall. Me and you, us three, let's go shop. Let's go to Macy's. Let's go to the men's jewelry department. Let's look at under the glass. On the left, there's a $10 piece of crap that tells the time. On the right, there's a $1,000 gold watch. They do the same thing. One home inspector on the left is charging $10. One home inspector on the right is charging $1,000. They basically do the same thing. They follow the same standards of practice. They use inspection reports. They take pictures. They have a summary. They identify defects.
Well, potentially.
What makes that $1,000 watch sell? It's because of the value that is perceived in that product.
I mean, I can't disagree with that, but it's just like, when we're talking about things that are like $10, $6, $7, like I could take a chance on something that was like that much. And if I didn't like it, I just wouldn't go back, or if I loved it, I might go back. But like when we're talking about a home inspection, and the thing is like where it is, like I deal with a lot of first time home buyers, right? And it's like while I 100% agree, like they need to be paying like more versus less. Like they're buying this huge, very important purchase. Do you want somebody in there that is just trying to hack under all the rest and get the job, or do you want somebody in there that knows their value? I mean, like, but it's really hard to convince, some people, especially like first time home buyers of that. Because like I say, this is, they don't get to do this very often. So they don't have a comparison point to know whether or not it's valuable. How do we get
Yeah,
to know how valuable it is?
I wasn't ever in the business of trying to convince. I hate sales on the phone. So what I would do is I just gave it to Steve. I don't want to say his last name, but he was a buddy. He was a chief inspector in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, where I was doing home inspections. I ran a home inspection business for a dozen years, and we had that list of chief inspectors. And so if someone was looking for a chief inspector, that's not me, but I know a friend, I know a buddy, he's super cheap. He will do that job. In fact, if you ask him for a discount, I bet he'll give it to you.
That's funny.
In this job, you get what you pay for.
Right.
So if you want a cheap ass inspector, I have one. His name is Steve, and he's right down the road.
Like
that is not me.
I have
That's
100%
not the first Steve I've
referred people
got.
to my competitors for years, right?
I am
But
the
I've never
gold
done it
watch.
like to the cheap guy. I've never done that. That's a really an interesting way of looking at it. That is an analogy or a perspective that I really can grasp onto. Because like I say, I refer to people when I'm not available to people that I know sometimes their fees are actually more than mine, but it's like I know they're going to be in very good hands when I refer them to them. But you've got a different method, and that's like, if Chief's what you're looking for, there's a couple of guys. Let me give you some numbers. That's great.
Oh man,
Yeah, you're almost calling their bluff just by doing that.
And there's a lot of them down in Florida too. Down in
there
Florida.
are.
Where are you guys? Where you're at, Brad? Like, I don't know how you all are making it, charging such low prices.
It's coming up.
You're all competing on price.
Yeah, no, it's coming up. There's guys like Ryan Wall. We've had him on the show before out of Hello Home Inspections up in Tampa. We were on the phone a few weeks ago before we even recorded the episode, and he was like, "Hey, what did you charge for your last inspection?" He goes, "We raised it to at least $750 for what you just did."
Yeah,
and I was like, "Oh, I need to do the same." But there are guys like I had an agent up in Newport Richey area say, "Hey, how much are you going to charge for this older home, this square footage?" And I told her the price at the time, which I think all in was like $650, $700. And she goes, "Oh, that's way too high. I've got a guy who'll do all of that plus your insurance inspections for $350." And I said, "You go get him.
Yeah.
I ain't driving all the way up there for that." But we wanted to talk about that because it's like, you were talking about the two watches. I want to get into both analogies because I actually do think there's some merit to the Starbucks one also. One, you're competing on other people's budgets, not just the market. But when you put those two side by side, a lot of times homeowners are going to go, okay, if this one just does the job and that's all I need, why don't I just go ahead and get that one? So you've given us one example of how you can raise perception, which is one, just believing in the quality of your own service. But how do you elevate consumer expectations so that it does justify that high ticket price?
Yeah, like I think that's actually really important. Like I know that like maybe your thing isn't really to convince people, but as an industry standard, if we're trying to get the industry to raise their standards, we have to convince people. I feel like it's driven by the consumer.
Yeah, I just want to be the only person in the field. So like when you have a field of competitors, you want to be the only one that your consumer sees, your customer sees. So I think of differentiation. That's instead of like trying to convince somebody to change their mind to pull out more money for me. It's really like only want them to see me or hear me. So you have to produce, I would say, that kind of credibility so that people can feel like they can trust you because they'll hire you if they trust you. Sure. And so social media, if you're not on social media, you're just, I don't know, dumb or you haven't gone around to it yet. But people will make huge decisions based upon what they see on this silly social media stuff. In fact, even like Google reviews, they'll take the word of a total stranger over anything you could possibly say. If you're a really good convincer, Matt, I can convince anybody about anything about me. It doesn't matter. People will look at the opinion of a total stranger over anything you can say. to convince them to hire you for more money. So you got to do those two things. Just keep dumping a ton of stuff on social media and get Google reviews.
Yep.
So showcase your value basically in other people's testimonials and in ways that people can consume and see it with their own eyes, essentially.
Yep.
The other thing too, and this is where I want to get back to the Starbucks analogy. I think Starbucks can charge the higher price because they own the market. They have a monopoly on it, right? And you were talking about how there is such huge competition in the state of Florida, Texas as well. Those are two of the states with the biggest inspector populations. So what do you got? Oh, that's why he just drinks the 7-Eleven Starbucks.
Hey, I built, before I was a home inspector, I built homes with my hands, and that was my breakfast. I got the big one, big coffee, man. It was before the sun rose. I'm just slurping on a coffee, getting to the job site.
Here's the question: does this mean I'm the guy that's not paying $1,000 for a home inspection? Is that what this means?
Oh, there you go. But yeah, when you are the preferred go-to of everybody, then you can afford to charge that price. So does raising your price come on the same scale, or does it progress with the same level to which you grow your business? Is it commensurate with the scale of your business in terms of market share?
I don't want to say that I've never done this before. So what I say, when I give a recommendation to, inspectors, it's because I know that I've done it before in my life. So in my home inspection business, I had a partner and we raised our fees and we worked less. So instead of working 7 days a week, which is what we would do, me and Nick, I was working 4.5, right? We had our Friday afternoons off. Friday, 12 o'clock, we're all done. And we were making more money because we raised prices. We never thought we could actually do that. So when I say just raise your prices and work less, it's coming from this core that I know it can work, but you have to have the goods to back it up.
Sure.
Right. So, and you don't want to price yourself out of the, you want to take a look at your competition as well. Oh, what I did this morning was really cool. You were talking, Brad, you're talking about the number of inspections in your competitors and things like that. I went to Zillow this morning and I just put in my zip code and I could tell real quick how many homes are for sale, right? It's a couple thousand homes in my zip code, right? And then you go to an internet, you can look in your zip code, how many competitors you have. You can do the math. So the one thing I was thinking about this morning when I was walking with my wife is, if you have competition and you have a need to be highly successful, what you need is data. Instead of being nervous about it, what you need is to look at what is actually in your marketplace, the opportunity, how many homes are for sale, and how many competitors are there. The pie is only this big, right? And we're all trying to eat a big slice. And that either is a motivator, which is what it would be for me, or it makes you so fearful you don't know what to do, right? For me, if I have competition, like if I have Ashy just trying to make fun of online education, that just drives me insane. I go berserk and I want to be the absolute best. You'll never see me sleeping. I will compete with those. There's about 250 inspectors in Raleigh. And there's about 2,000 inspections, potential inspections, right? And if I want to feed my family, I have an enemy. Like I can make it up too, right? But my enemy is my competitors, my friendly competitors. And I'm motivated because I know the numbers, and the numbers aren't too good. There's not a lot of sales going on, and there's a lot of us around. So that's the unfortunate kind of reality, that you have to have really good marketing skills, and all the other things that, the coaches give you advice about, marketing, and even me being on social media. But you really have to have this core just bite the head off of your competition, because you know the numbers, and you gotta feed your family. That's really a great motivator,
So not raising prices almost comes from a willingness to settle for some people, then, is what you're saying. That's an interesting way of looking at it. And now you're getting into personal psychology as well. Like, it's like you actually have a drive.
This is all about psychology. I mean, you got to have, you can't just be a really good inspector anymore. Like, oh, I'm going to be a really great inspector. The world's best inspector is going to make a ton of cash. No, you got to be able to manage your business, and you have to have this vision too, where you have, this thought of, growth and taking risk and working harder than everybody else. And when you put all of that energy, my point is, when you put all of that thought and energy and work into something, how dare you charge less than everybody else?
Yeah.
That's good, man. Dude, I would love there to be a session on that at InterNACHI. It's like, why are you not succeeding? Because you don't have that dog in you. Like,
The bite, man, the bite. You got to be able to. It's dog eat dog.
So we
Yeah.
Then you have beer. Then you can have a nice drink with a bourbon with your friends. At the chapter meeting. At the chapter meeting, I'm hugging all of my inspectors, right? So that's how you should be.
Right,
We're all
right.
in this together. Let's support each other. But when I leave the chapter meeting, I'm back on. Right.
I'm getting your clients.
Yeah. I'm gonna steal all your clients.
That's it, man.
That's the fun part. Because if there's no competition like that, then we're all dull.
Right.
And we're all going to be charging about $150 because that's what's the worth.
Right.
But if there's some of us who raise, the marketplace, and some of those businesses too, multi-inspector firms are really big ones. They're good. They're pushing up. They're raising the tide of everybody else. What is that phrase?
Rising
they're
tide.
taking the lead. So you got to support those crazy son of a guns who are charging a lot and doing the crazy marketing stuff and really pushing the perceived value of home inspections. Well, keep pushing them. Don't drag them down and say, we're charging too much for that kind of service. We should respect other people's hard-earned money or something like that. We're not even close to charging 3% like a real estate agent does.
That's exactly
on $1
it.
million is a lot of money.
Right.
Well, then that's where I wanted to get back at that Starbucks analogy, because when it comes to controlling the market and establishing demand or establishing value, because you do control the market, agents still, despite the NAR new agreement, they're still the gatekeepers. And so they are kind of still the ones that control the overall perception of the home inspection. So how do we change that with agents as well? Is it just more of exactly like what you're talking about, or are there other steps that we could take in addition to convincing consumers?
I have an opinion on that. I think that, the online stuff that, myself and some others have been doing is helping to change that as well, because we are now marketing not just to real estate agents, but to the public. But remember, we've talked about it before, how like home inspection has seemingly changed, like home inspectors, the perception of home inspectors has somewhat changed over the last, I would say probably 20 years, but I mean, I haven't been in it that long, but I mean, I think that just overall, like, I think realtors change too. Like newer, younger realtors come in, and then their perception is a newer. Because if you get the older the older realtors that have been in the business for a really long time, I mean, I feel like they have the idea of the older inspectors, and things are just different now, right? But you get the newer ones that and they have an idea that's more aligned with what value I'm trying to bring. That's my opinion.
Also, I encourage, I don't want to say I blame home inspectors, but I'm encouraging home inspectors to do marketing to change that narrative. So when I ask home inspectors that when I do like a coaching session or a presentation, I'm always asking like to think of where you live, where your house is and your street. Now think of your neighbors, all your neighbors and don't know. Every one of them should know that you're a home inspector.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't market to the person who lives right next to you, don't tell me that, I wish I didn't have to go through real estate agents.
Yeah.
Like you got to be able to market to anybody who has a home. You're a home inspector. Figure out what those people in your neighborhood need from you.
Right.
I'm sure you can help them out.
Well,
Whenever there's a weather event,
do.
I've told this story before. Whenever there's a weather event in my neighborhood, I'm in a new neighborhood now in Raleigh. Everybody knows I'm the home inspector, right? Whenever there's a heavy rain pour, and
everybody just knows that already. Okay.
It rains. Everybody knows that I'm the guy. I'm the guy who comes over. I'll come over and have, I'll check it out. Yeah. Now, again, I don't have any paying clients anymore. It's not what I do. I do all InterNACHI. Right. But if I was in the business, I'd have all these people around me buzzing about me. And, you know, and if you
That's
can't
good.
do that, then don't complain about, oh, real estate agents are in control of everything.
Well, we were talking before we went on air about hurricane season coming back up. This is another shout out to Florida inspectors. ISN rolled out a template. I actually helped develop it, not boasting here, but this was out of necessity. Last year when the Suncoast got hit with two, actually it might have been three if you're counting the Suncoast going all the way up to the Panhandle. That was three hurricanes, major hurricanes last year. And so we came up with a storm damage assessment template, I think is what it was. But really it was intended for helping homeowners, not home buyers, but homeowners just get a ballpark idea of what happened to their properties. Cause some of them just didn't even know where to start. The damage was so severe.
Brilliant.
And I was giving these away for free, helping people out last year. And again,
Awesome.
it's not to let the left hand know what the right hand's doing. And it was certainly not with the intention of, using my home inspection services for free to get business out of it later on. But it was genuinely to be helpful. But people do, I mean, charity's remembered, when you give your services away in a sense of the greater good like that, when a weather storm comes along or some big major weather event, people do remember it.
Yep.
So, it's, go check out that template. Storm season's coming up. Y'all going to need it.
That's fantastic. I didn't know that, Brad. That's fantastic. Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah. Internet developed a little logo. We didn't develop any template like you did. That's fantastic.
Dude, now I need to get that logo so I can promote myself.
Put it right on the truck. Whenever there's a storm, boom, or a truck or a sign. That's fantastic. But giving away, you touched on something. Giving, right, is one of the 5 things that wealthy people do.
Mm-hmm.
Wealthy people own a business. They also invest in other people's businesses. They buy assets that make them money. They save, they don't burn the money, and they give, so you got to be doing all those 5 things. And then if you're doing those 5 things, man, you're on the path to wealth.
Which there's a big difference between underselling your services and being generous, right? Like there's a difference between, you can actually afford to be more generous the more you charge. If you think about it that way, if you're making more off your average ticket, you can afford to give something away in time of crisis, because you're not going to be pressed then. That's pretty big too.
But that is not, you did not take advantage of the situation.
Absolutely not.
You were probably a light. You were in that dark time, because
several guys were down here. There's a lot of
Western North Carolina just got hit by one of the tails of those hurricanes that came up through Texas and the Gulf. And just the tail of a hurricane destroyed a ton. It's Asheville, if you want to look it up. We're still rebuilding. My friends are still affected by that. And the one thing that the township can't do, the one thing that the government can't do, deploy enough inspectors who can assess damage. FEMA can't do it. The government can't do it. The local building officials don't have enough building inspectors, even for new construction. That's why the government should really be thinking about leveraging and deploying all these wonderful home inspectors.
It's a good thought, man.
And they know the neighbors, Well, that's a fantastic thing you did. That's really great. I didn't know that.
No, definitely. I'm happy to partner with InterNACHI to prep inspectors for storm season coming up, because it's going to be another rough one. They're predicting, I think, up to 10 storms for this year, potentially major ones. But in terms of preparation, you were talking about, I kind of want to pivot here with this, because you were talking about InterNACHI's online resources. And something that Matt and I were thinking about is, because I've used InterNACHI for doing my CEs, both at the conference and online. Are y'all thinking on adapting the coursework or continuing to evolve the coursework to encompass some of the modern technologies that are coming out and debuting, starting to make their way into new builds these days? Or how are you guys adapting in that way?
Yeah. So just so everybody knows that if you took the electrical course 10 years ago, it has gone through updates. It goes through a cycle of updates every year. And we update every course of InterNACHI according to the latest code. So it's reviewed every year, but every 3 years, the code gets updated. And so all the courses get updated. And I do a lot of the work, but I also hire out for people to go through the course and make sure that we don't have any old crap in the courses. People think, oh, I took the electrical course. That was written a long time ago. But because we're an accredited college, we have to update things. So that's just the building standards. And then we are writing right now a new course on smart home features for Texas. Texas pre-licensing actually requires the new home inspector in the pre-licensing to understand the new home features, right? The smart home features and all that other stuff. So we're on the cutting edge of everything. I mean, because we're an accredited college, the only tuition-free online accredited college accredited by U.S. Department of Education for home inspectors, we have to be on top of everything. We have to be updated. There are no old, if there are any old sections, you tell me.
I think you touched on what he was talking about, like with, introducing courses that like have things to do with smart homes and newer technologies. I think not necessarily code changes and course updates. I mean, you guys have always been very good at that, but I think like just kind of looking forward to course material that might, encompass, modern building techniques and modern devices.
Yeah. Like tankless water heaters. I mean, that was a new thing, but that's kind of actually old. Right. But a lot of home inspectors don't even know about tankless water heaters. So inside the plumbing course, there's tankless water heaters. Well, I live in a home that has spray foam on the roof, right? And the attic is conditioned, and it's mechanically ventilated.
Right.
I mean,
there you go.
So watch out. There's going to be a video course coming up.
Well, we were talking about that. Do you have an ERV?
Yeah. No, I don't.
You don't?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, there's a fresh air. It's simply a pipe with a damper, and it brings in fresh air every for 10 minutes every hour.
Yeah.
Sounds like an ERV.
No, that's not an ERV. It simply just brings in air. It doesn't exhaust.
That's right.
Okay, got it. So it's an encapsulated space at the very least.
Yep.
That's kind of the stuff that we've been getting into. In fact, we just shot a special. I'll share it with you once it goes live. But this was at I don't know if you're familiar with Matt Reisinger out in Texas, big building science guy. But we were filming at one of his new projects, and we took a look. It was a heat pump water heater. And it's like, okay, we understand water heaters and we understand heat pumps, but you put both of these together. We looked at each other. I was like, do we want to try to film on this? And we went, no.
That's something like, while I know enough about it, right? Like to be able to probably inspect it, but like, do I know, like if somebody started asking me a whole bunch of questions about how it works, like I probably wouldn't be able to answer that stuff. I could probably put it together if I sat there and thought about it long enough, but I would
water to air heat exchange.
Some information on stuff like that for sure.
Well, I think building science, we got a couple building science courses for InterNACHI. They're pretty good. And I think home inspectors should understand that the house is a system, a whole system. It's a system of parts that all work together. And if they're not working together, if one part is off, it can really screw things up. And I've been concentrating on water and how bulk water moves. And I just learned a ton about capillary action and osmosis and efflorescence. It's just an amazing thing. Like
water is everything.
Water
is everything.
Water is everything. It really is like the beginning of every home inspection.
It is.
Right. You should look at this building, or even a commercial building, right? You should look at this thing and it's like, how is water managed? Where's the water management features?
It is the most destructive force. And yet, yes, we can control like what's going on plumbing wise, but water just falls out of the sky too. And we have no control over that. Right. And so, all of that has to be managed. And it's just, wildly destructive. And so, I mean, I'll do home inspections sometimes with the water's turned off, or I'll arrive and the water's turned off. I refuse to do it. I won't do a home inspection with water not working. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's the one thing that is a deal breaker. I will do it. I mean, probably electricity too, but like I'll do it if the gas is off. There's some unfinished business around a new construction house, no problem most of the time. But I mean, like whatever, we go back and do unfinished business later. But if the water doesn't work, I'm not doing an inspection. That's ridiculous.
Now,
Trevor, Trevor,
on your new build there, what steps did you guys take in terms of sealing? I'm assuming you guys have a basement. You're up in North Carolina.
hmm,
We can't do them down in Florida, but when I was in Virginia, every house had either a basement or a crawl space. So, do you guys employ any new practices in terms of sealing the basement as far as protection against water intrusion, or sealing the housing envelope in general? That's maybe a tick above previous building standards, or what do you guys do there?
me?
Yeah, man.
I'm on a crawl space,
Oh, okay, fun
and
stuff.
it's an unvented crawl space.
Oh.
And so the air that building science shows that the air that you breathe in your first floor, half of it is coming from somewhere else in your house, right? Could be from the basement of the crawl space, ventilated or unventilated. So I have an unventilated crawl space, and it's the best thing. I treat it as a short basement, no open air vents. It's ridiculous. It's impossible to control stuff. But when you enclose it, insulate it, and vapor retard it, it's no longer a vapor barrier, it's a vapor retarder.
We can say that
It's just
word.
a clean area. You go into my crawl space, you'd be the happiest home inspector in the world. I mean, it's just clean. It's actually clean. It's a clean space. If you can imagine a clean space, and it's all lit up, and there's aren't any bugs or mice or anything. It's just an amazing. I've been in this house for now 2 years, and it's just a fantastic. I have building science all around me, and it's just a fantastic way to handle this space that has really been a pain in the butt for a lot of homeowners.
Do you
A lot of
monitor the
homeowners-
humidity down there?
What's that?
Do you monitor the humidity down there?
I do. So, right, I take a look almost every day. I'm a nut, Matt. I open up my crawl space door. I shine my flashlight, and I got a meter. It's relative humidity, temperature, and it also can detect any water. But I don't have any water problems.
How's your
So I
how's your
take a look at
humidity
that.
level down there? Do you have any dehumidification, or are you just relying on HVAC? What's going on?
HVAC ventilation. So you need, if you're gonna, the code says a lot of things about an unvented crawl space, but you
Right.
got to have some kind of mechanical ventilation. And so I've got a little bit of the same air circulation in my entire house that's in the crawl space.
Right.
It's really good.
I've been
Clever,
in a few
man.
crawl spaces that were that nice.
Yeah.
It always makes me smile, especially like when it's like I've got like a 3 inspection day back in Virginia, and 2 of them are absolute dumps in the crawl space, and it's like I could spend an hour down there just documenting every problem, and then you open that one hatch and you shine your light, and you just go, oh, okay.
That's
It's
a
like,
crawl.
thank God, some people know what they're doing here. Yeah, so that was always a treat, man. Very cool.
But have you done the water drip test?
No.
So you get 2 shots, and you pour whiskey in each one, right?
Okay, you
And
had
then-
me. You have me now. You have my.
And then you get just a drop of water on your finger and let it drop, right? And then you see if you can taste the difference. They say that 1 drop of water in that shot makes all the difference in the world. Is that true?
I don't know,
but I'm
I'll
gonna
have to
try
hold
it.
on.
It's-
Let me go get a couple of cups.
Well, it's almost like with scotch, right? I mean, sometimes you do this just like a tiny bit of scotch or a
Ah,
tiny bit
that's
of
what
water
it
in
is.
scotch. Yeah. Well, it
I
helps.
was
too.
at a Scotch thing, and
It's
an
a
expert
Scotch thing,
Scotch
yeah.
guy did that, just a drop, and I was like,
Yep.
"Oh yeah, there is a difference."
have
It
heard
brings out
that.
some of the other notes, cuts down on some of that alcohol
Wow.
burn that hits you when you first take a sip off of your bit of scotch
What if
there.
I don't
but-
know if there was a difference?
Off
I
your
think I'm just
dram.
having a good time.
Yeah, we got to try it, man.
Yeah.
So next time I'm up through North Carolina, we'll give it a
Yeah.
go. So
Hey, listen,
Pretty
I want to
good
beat a
bourbon.
dead horse for 1 minute, okay?
bring it, man.
I want to get back to this $1,000 thing because there was one thing that I wanted to ask you, and you said back in the day you were doing them for like in the '90s and early 2000s you were doing them for $1,000. That included ancillary services. You put out a video not too long ago talking about how inspectors should be charging $1,000 for inspection. In today's market, with today's prices, is that $1,000 base fee, or is that including ancillary services? And if so, how many? What do you think base fee should be?
Yeah, it's hard to make a video on this subject, right?
It is.
Without sounding stupid. So I've done so many videos, and I probably have sound stupid in many other videos. But my point is, right, that you got to charge. It's based on math, right? Don't go into this business, or don't be running a business right now based upon just guessing. So you got to figure, if you can do the math, you got to figure out how much profit you want in order to give yourself a lifestyle that you're aiming for, right? You want to be able to support your family and do all the great things and go to, to charities and all that stuff. But man, you got to when that phone rings, you have to be able to know that this is going to be a profitable phone call, right? And you just can't like look at your competition and say, well, Mary's charging $500 for a home inspection, and if you add wood and radon and mold to that, maybe I can push it to 800, and that sounds good to me. That's not the way to do it, right? We don't train inspectors in our business course to think like that. We train inspectors to look at the market, but also like it's up to you to figure out what you should be charging according to your math. My math is different from Brad's math because I desire a certain annual salary that's going to be different than Brad's. I have a large family and Brad has a bigger family, or Mary has no family, or so, so we can't be all like, I think $1,000 for my home inspection is, it doesn't matter what my friendly competitors are doing. First and foremost, you have to do the math for yourself and make sure your business is operating to support your lifestyle and you're focused on your aim, right?
And just make sure that your services are measuring up, I guess.
Yeah, and you'll know that. You'll know that for sure when you measure your marketing strategies and whether your value proposal is meeting that expectation. So if you have, one of the things you can do is use your website analytics. If you have a ton of people visiting your website, right, and they're not scheduling with you, you may have a problem with communicating your value. You may have a problem with your price.
Right.
You may have, if you're charging a certain amount of money, but you're not really selling it, you're not convincing, like Matt said, then you have a problem with your marketing, right? If you're doing everything you can in your marketing and you're not making enough money, right? Well, then it's your prices. So you really have to, it's back to measuring things, measuring your efforts. Don't do anything in your marketing strategies, if you can't measure it. Because if it's worth doing, it's worth measuring. Even if you post on social media tonight, something really awesome, right?
I do that every day.
Okay, then you probably know this is worth my time. You're not in business to waste your time.
Right.
There must be a reason that Matt is doing that tonight. And I can't wait for him to post something and I'm going to watch it, right? But, that is part of his marketing strategy. Or maybe he's just doing it for fun, and that's okay too.
Right.
But he's measuring a business owner measures everything that we do in order to make money here. We're not in the business of wasting money.
Yeah.
We're in the business of making as much money as possible. And the cool thing is, I beat up on contractors because of our business models, right? A contractor that pulls up in the driveway with windows is in the business of selling windows.
Right.
A contractor that pulls up in the driveway with insulation has a business model of selling as much insulation as possible, right? That's their business model. That's their motive. A home inspector pulls up in the driveway with nothing to sell other than, I'm going to tell you everything about your home, how it works and what's wrong and how to go fix it. I'm going to educate my client about the home in which they live so that they can feel safe and healthy in it. Holy cow, that's fantastic. What a value that we provide. If you can't sell that for $1,000, what are you doing? Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it is probably region specific too. I mean, there's a whole lot that goes into it, and I get it now. I mean, it's more just a number. It's maybe not so number specific, but yeah. I mean, I like hearing your viewpoints on this and kind of getting a little bit deeper into that. But I'm done. We can move.
Yeah, no, and I agree with everything you're saying, Ben, in terms of we understand our value. We understand exactly what you're saying. And for me, it still comes back to, and maybe this is because I worked through the COVID era, when it was a cash buyer's market. It was a seller's market, but it played best for cash buyers, right? If you could come in with $1 million in cash and go buy that house, you win the day. But the first thing to go was home inspections. The first thing to get waived was home inspections, and it forced inspectors to do half the job for half the pay with walk-in talks, which is twice the risk. I was telling other inspectors this the whole time, like, that is a massive risk for you to go in there without providing a paper report and just saying, I'll give you a verbal in an hour. But inspectors were having to do it to at least stay in the field and stay active and stay top of mind. So I'm like, I know there's legislation that's being pushed in places like Massachusetts that are trying to kind of make the inspection a buyer's right, where that helps to raise perceived value. So for me, it's like, it's still just kind of drilling it into the consumer's mind that you need this.
You know what?
Yeah, I don't like it when a business owner says, I rely on the government to do my marketing, right?
Oh, right.
No, yeah.
If they make home inspections required in every state, that'd be fantastic, right? But that's not going to happen. In my head, I'm going to assume that's not going to happen. And the only person who gives a crap about our problem of being undervalued in this critical real estate transaction, that's on us. Home inspectors, we really need to, this is the time to do it too. We really need to start communicating the value of what we do. I know it's great to look at someone who, we have a bunch of inspectors who do videos that beat up other inspectors.
We know.
We have inspectors who beat up builders, right? We have inspectors who beat up other things out there. That's not the value, right? You have to show, you can't scare people into hiring you. You have to show the value. I don't know how else I can say it. Maybe after this, Matt and Brad, I'll probably have the right answer for you, but there's got to be some other type of conversation, and it's reliant upon home inspectors to start that conversation. No one else cares that we're not charging enough. Right. It's up to us to show that value.
Yeah, no, I think Matt, honestly, what he and other inspectors do as far as content goes, and there are good guys out there. Like we got Trey Hill, we've had him on the show, where they go straight to, I think marketing straight to the consumer is the solution. Right. Because at the end of the day, the person that's going to choose you, and Ben, you hit on this with Google reviews, it's the buyer, right? And so you have to find the way to kind of cut the realtor out of the equation in terms of establishing your value, because the only person that really needs to know at the end of the day is the home buyer.
Guess how many homes right now there are in the United States? It's about 147 million, 150 million. Let's say 150 million.
That's all.
Huh?
That's all. I'm actually kind of shocked.
I think that's right.
Okay. Is that single family? It could be more.
It could be more. Let's say it's more. Let's say it's 200 million. Guess how many million? I know this one. Guess how many million homes have water intrusion problems today?
Oh, many. Many.
11.7 million are experiencing water intrusion problems today. A roof leak, water from the foundation water leak, or a water problem coming from inside, like a plumbing leak of some kind.
Right.
There's water problems in millions of homes, right? Now, that doesn't have anything to do with a real estate transaction. Now, you're not telling me, but it's just a question. You're telling me that we can't monopolize on that?
It's
the one thing that connects me to just about everyone else in the United States who is living who isn't homeless is a home. We live in an apartment. We're renting an Airbnb, and all Airbnbs should be inspected. By the way. I've reached out to them. Man, all Airbnbs should be inspected. I don't know if you've done an Airbnb or a Vrbo. They need to be inspected.
They're rough, man.
Yeah, some of them are really rough. There's so many other opportunities. It isn't just about the real estate transaction. I think the one thing that connects all of us is that our health, your health is affected by the home in which you live and the building in which you work.
Yeah,
Those
100% true.
Those things need to be inspected to make sure that they're safe, functioning, and healthy.
Yeah.
And there's only one certified professional on this planet Earth who can do that.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think you're kind of getting at, like the final huge point there, because we've talked about everything's in terms of knowing your own value, promoting your own value, and marketing your own value. But
Yep.
it's I think the last one here is seeing the opportunities, right? Because we look at home inspections as, okay, well, this is only for the buyer. No, it doesn't just have to be for the buyer. Like what you're saying, there's all other manners of incidents in which a home could or should be inspected. I like going to investors. I'll tell
Nice.
investors, real estate investors, that I'll do an investment evaluation. It's a home inspection, but so that they know that they're getting what they're paying for, right? But as soon as you call it an investor evaluation, they go, "Oh, I could probably use that," right? So it's a little bit of, it's semantics, but it's finding the opportunity. So that's huge. Well, Ben, I can tell you there's one thing that's definitely worth the value, and that's been having you on the show today, man. We really appreciate this. I've been wanting to get you on here for quite some time.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Also, Ben, I just want to say thank you because, I have used InterNACHI for years. I have learned so much from the courses that are provided there and everything that you guys do for the industry. So I just really thank you. You guys are awesome. I love InterNACHI.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks, fellas, for having me on. Brad, I really appreciate it. Matt, check you around.
Yep.
Definitely, man. And thank you, everybody, so much for watching. As always, make sure if you're not a member of InterNACHI, you need to be. Go check them out. They don't pay us to say that. I'm just saying that because I've gotten huge value from it. And make sure to come to Inspection Fuel. Go check out the InterNACHI conference as well. And go follow them online. All the InterNACHI forums are fantastic to be part of. So thank you guys for watching. We'll be right back here on the Ride Along very soon. We'll see you then.